Welcome back to another episode of The Lost. I am Shad, he is Razor, and we have a special 2 for the price of 1 treat for you today. A 2-for-1 treat for you today. You see, we initially planned to do an episode about Katana and her appearances in various media outside of the games, and then do one for Mileena.
But as it turns out, Mileena is in so few things. We really can just do them together. There's really no reason not to.
If we did it the other way, that we were originally planning on doing, we'd have found ourselves just repeatedly retreading the same ground. You'd basically have the same episode twice, and Mileena's would be like about a good hour shorter.
Yeah, Mileena's only been in 3 adaptations ever, and almost all of them are a Katana episode or issue of the comic or what have you. They're always together, so...
So we figured, rather than just go back and retread the same ground, we realized halfway through recording this episode that we're basically just doing a joint episode anyway. Let's make it official.
Yeah, so officially this is Kitana and Mileena, Part 3.
Enjoy. We'll probably do the same thing for Cyrax and Sector. So the first item up on our docket is in the Malibu comics of the early to mid-1990s.
Well, Malibu is your area of expertise,
It
so I'm
is.
going to let you handle most of this. The only issue she's in that I actually remember, because I've reread it recently, is the one-shot about her backstory.
Well, that's good, because that's what we're going to start with.
All right.
This comic, it's an isolated one-shot that kind of just serves to tell Katana and Mileena's backstory. Most of it's in flashback form. And this stands out as interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, this came out towards the end of Malibu's life cycle. This came out in August 1995, so Mk3 was already on the shelves by the time this debuted. And it's the only appearance of Sindel anywhere in Malibu comics.
That is true.
Yeah, Sindel's first appearance in any kind of outside media ever. So they had a lot of interesting things to go on.
I do have one interesting detail about this comic that people probably don't know. The pencils, the artwork was done by Greg Horn, who has done a wide variety of somewhat famous things for Marvel and DC.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
It's good that he actually had a career after this was done, unlike some people. But yeah, this particular issue is probably the single best thing that ever came out of Malibu, period. It's well told, it's well drawn for the most part. Some parts of it are sketched in terms of storyline, but it's a fun read.
I think Greg Horn is most famous for doing the covers of Elektra, Emma Frost, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk books in the aughts. Very well-known pinup art, so, if you Google Greg Horn, this stuff will turn up.
I can completely believe that this man spends a lot of his time dressing women in, skimpy clothing. Clearly, this was one of his earliest efforts in that vein.
He's not the one who designed the character of Katana. They just got somebody that she's in his wheelhouse.
It gets a little fan servicey at points. There are,
you know what?
There are some angles in this thing.
I have no problem with any of it. Mostly because it's good art. It's not the angular, pointy, usual 90s art of the rest of the Malibu books.
Quite true.
It actually, it just looks like a normal comic book. It's pretty well drawn in general.
It feels good from page 1. So, we open with a really, really good shot of Katana, going down the hallways of Shao Khan's palace, and at this point she's already got her suspicions. She struts down the hallways as if she owns the place. Is that so far from the truth, she wonders. It establishes that over the years she's fought a compulsion to explore this part of the fortress, but today she's doing it.
Yeah, it sounds like Shao Kahn's this wing of the castle you're not allowed in. And she's like, you know what? Today, fuck it.
Yeah, pretty much. Reptile's standing there, because he usually is.
Well, he can turn invisible, so...
And he's like, "Oh, lady, you may not pass." And he says it, "You're not permitted in this part of the fortress." And she calls him belly crawler like everyone seems to do in these series. And he grabs her by the wrist. He's like, "Shao Kahn's ordered you not to show up here." And she says, "Maybe you speak for him, but I speak for myself, and you should listen closely." And she just kicks him in the face, smacks him around a little bit.
There's like a big, takes up most of a page, shots of them throwing punches at each other, and it's got this weird psychedelic background of like red and yellow and green in like a hypnotic swirl pattern, because I guess he didn't feel like drawing a real background. It should be noted that the reason Malibu Comics isn't around anymore is that in the 90s, Marvel bought them, and the only reason they bought them was to get their hands on their digital coloring technology. They didn't want any of the IPs.
Oh my god. You too can torrent the entire Malibu comic archive for free on archive.org. Or just like torrent it and download it, whatever the hell you want to do. It's all out there. It's all completely free. No one seems to have said or done anything. Just don't tell the House of Mouse. So she smacks him around for a little bit. And there's a nice little panel here where she flips open a fan. And there's
I like there's
reflection
like
of
a
steel in
trail of gleams in the dark coming off the fan it's really well done.
People, this comic is a must for Katana fans. It's one of the best things ever made for her. So she jump kicks him through a wall and tells him that the first day that she rules the lands will be the last one he lives there.
You know, that turned out to be true in MK4.
It did. It really did.
The
got put on
first
trial.
thing Sindel and Katana did when they took the throne was banish Reptile out of the realm.
Hi, bro, you're guilty of genocide. Get the fuck out. To the Netherrealm with you.
She's a woman of her word.
So, Reptile's on the ground in a whole new room, and she's like, "Now you shall what?" This is incredible. Because the room is filled with a bunch of stuff. A bunch of gold and shit on the floor. There's a big ornate book on a table, there's a dangling sword, and there's a throne. And of course, the first fucking thing Reptile does, because he's Reptile and he's sad and we should all feel bad for him, is just scrabble through the gold like he's just found the pot of
like
Lucky
he's trying
Charms.
to swim through it like Scrooge McDuck.
He's tossing coins and jewels up into the air. "There is a fortune here, and it belongs to Reptile." He's so happy.
And then Katana just knocks him out with a chop to the back of the neck.
He's like, "Nope, I don't know who these things belong to." Sits on the table, opens the book, "But I intend to find out." And here's where our flashback starts.
I like how the flashback is, the word balloons are like fancy illustrations, like an actual like medieval fairy tale book.
Yes. This depiction of Edenia, that which we call Outworld, it specifies. It's done in very medieval style. Young Kitana and Sindel and Jared look like, your typical medieval kings and queens and princess.
Jared looks like he's the king from, like, a Shakespearean play.
All the jewels, the staff, the chalices, they're all made of gold. It's really, really nice.
I will say, one thing that is, in this flashback, Kitana looks to already be, like, in her mid to late teens.
Yeah.
This is also true of the flashback to when Jared was killed in Defenders of the Realm. There was a tendency in Threshold stuff and in this to depict as if Kitana had already been, like, nearly an adult when it happened, and that's why, like, she actually remembers in Threshold. Like, in Threshold, she has always known Khan is her stepdad, not her real dad.
I've always maintained that I think that this particular issue has been pretty influential throughout the years. Maybe less so these days, but I think it left its mark. And I think there were a lot of people out there.
I think this was the image in a lot of fans' heads of what this actually, this looked like. I mean, for me, I sort of recognized that the story in the games probably wanted you to think she was a baby and didn't remember because she was too young, and we've talked about that before. Like, I tend to imagine that, like, I knew some of this was not accurate already.
Yeah, same here. Like, I figured the katana here is obviously not the katana that shows up in Sindel's ending, but the sheer vividness of which the story is portrayed always kind of made it canon in my heart. Much of this does not unfold the way it happens in the games. So it specifies that Sindel and Jared created a utopia. All the land flourished and swore loyalty to Jared's name.
Yeah, they say it was a golden age from the plains of plenty to the laughing forest. And I have to say, even though the sky is blue and there's a squirrel running around and like green grass and it doesn't look all like swampy and dead and gross, the laughing forest is still much creepier than the living forest.
Yeah, it's a little unsettling. The smiling trees.
I have to say, the tree farthest to the left looks like Freddy Krueger.
Can't unsee it.
That's Robert Englund's face, I swear to God.
The one in the middle has kind of an Oogie Boogie thing going on. I think as a kid I tried hard not to dwell on this and went, okay, I see what they're going for next.
You know, if I was walking through the woods and all the trees were laughing, that's not comfortable.
It's never been right.
It's creepy, but at the very minimum, it's just obnoxious.
I think I'd actually much rather stroll through a forest made of trees screaming in agony and rage than...
At least they're sometimes quiet, like they only scream intermittently.
Looks like these fuckers are just laughing all the time, yeah. So, Outworld enjoyed an age of peace and prosperity without end. There's a guy selling cabbages. I'm sure for Avatar fans that's a hilarious image.
There is a cabbage guy. I also want to point out that Jared's castle appears to be solid gold.
Yeah, it's looking good. So the Emperor of Outworld, again, not Edenia here. This is early days, so
yeah,
distinction had yet to be specified.
Back in the day, before Deadly Alliance or so, Outworld and Edenia were treated as though they were two different names for the same realm.
The Emperor of Outworld had no enemies save one, and God, I love this image of Shao Khan. This is much.
A really well done. Like, it's completely colored red with this dramatic lighting.
You don't get any hint that there's a guy's face underneath there. Like, the eyes look supernatural. The only detail visible on the face is the skull mask.
What I find interesting about how Shao Khan is illustrated in this is that it's completely accurate to his MK2 outfit, except that the skull mask doesn't have like the crest, the two horns in the front.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of a partial hood over the top of his head, and
it makes it look more European peasant hood like, which is interesting. Like, it seems like the crest is a symbol of rank.
Possible. I also like how his shoulder spikes are like upwards and curved inside a little bit. I would wear the fuck out of this as an alternate. It looks good.
I like it. So the story of the flashback begins with Jared and Kitana riding horses through the meadow, and they find an abandoned baby in a basket.
And Katana's horrified at this. Who would do such a thing?
Who would ever abandon a baby? We don't do that here in Edenia.
Jared has this look on his face like, I have seen some appalling shit, but not for thousands of years. What the hell?
Yeah, he looks like the idea of someone leaving their baby behind is the equivalent of smelling a bad fart. Like, he's just totally grossed out.
And he says, we can't end the suffering of everyone who lives here, but we can take care of one small baby.
Yeah, so they take the baby back to the castle. And Kitana is playing with it in the throne room while Jared has an audience with the Lin Kuei clan.
Here still referred to as ninjas.
Yes, yes.
The baby is playing with some blocks and adorably nomming on the top of a toy horse's head. He's so smart for his age. He's just like a little man, this baby is, says Kitana.
I think she's overly impressed because the child is sticking the toy horse in its mouth.
Remember this moment. He's also very blonde.
Yeah, this is the whitest baby. This baby is
So very Caucasian this child is. This completely unsuspicious child.
Yes, this is baby Steve Rogers. This is the most Aryan child I can imagine.
So he has an audience with the Lin Kuei, Gerard does.
Yeah.
He's grimacing as they come in through the fucking halls.
They are all dressed like Sub-Zero. There is no variation. They're all blue.
There is one variation, and it's in the leader that speaks for them.
That's true. The leader of the delegation says his name is Ice.
Very creative.
And we have come to offer our allegiance against the threat of darkness, against the threat of Shao Khan. And Jared says, I'm not afraid of Khan. I don't need your help. I got this.
This panel is wonderful.
Yeah, as he's saying this, Shao Khan is creeping in from the shadows from a wall behind him.
He just snuck in somehow.
Yeah.
You can see his foot here, incidentally, and it's like basically a demon's talon.
Yeah, like he's not wearing shoes and his toenails are sharp and pointy.
Shao Khan will fail so long as Jared lives, says Jared, as Khan, eats the scenery behind him with giant claws. And the baby turns to look at him.
Yeah, the baby's the only person in the room who notices Shao Khan is there.
Openly.
Now, Ice says, yes, that is the prevailing thought. The Dark One has offered us a place of power in his kingdom in return for your head. And he turns on Jared and starts shooting icicle daggers at him. And what's interesting is that when Ice is using his powers, there's like a blue circle tattoo that suddenly appears around one of his eyes for no reason. And it's only there when he's using his powers.
I swear up and down, this is an ice monocle. It's the only explanation for it.
It's the same eye that Kuai Liang gets scarred in MK3. But this is a really dumb, silly way to reference that.
At least makes them kind of memorable.
I guess.
So Jared just blocks all the icicles with an energy cell effortlessly and instantly ignites a sword made of fucking fire.
Yeah. I want to point out, this is the only media we've ever gotten where Jared, shows what he can do in a fight, what powers he might have. And he can make force fields, and he has a flaming sword.
I dig it, personally.
Yeah, I like the flaming sword. It's a nice touch. It's very, very standard European king stuff. Everybody knows the kings of Europe all had flaming magic swords.
And wear blue spandex underneath their ornate medieval gear.
That is true. He's wearing blue spandex. The pants and the top, it's like a one piece, but it's sleeveless. And then he's got your standard furry collared king's cape and a belt and some jewelry and a crown.
I really like the design overall.
It's all right. It's a little plain. I don't know if I think blue when I think King of Edenia.
I can only assume it's supposed to be like a visual reference to what Kitana will become.
I suppose. Kitana herself is wearing a green and white dress, and her tiara has kind of like a red gem over her forehead like Raven from the Teen Titans.
Yeah. It's not terrible.
It's alright.
Very generic medieval.
Sindel, purple, as you might expect. They actually got that one right. She had a purple dress on. But her hair was black, and as we know from the MK3 endings, Sindel's hair was pure gray before she died and came back.
So, Jared's like, arrogant fools, I could smell your treachery before you entered the room. Khan uses you because he fears my power. He sends you to test me, but this is no test. And Ice is begging for his life.
He's like, no, I recant. He gives up immediately. All he's seen is that Jared can block his icicles with a force field, and he's like, that's all I had. I don't want to fight. I made a mistake.
There's a lot of groveling ninjas throughout Malibu.
Yeah, there's
Sub does it, Reptile does it, and here's Ice.
This is a common scene in Malibu, the ninja with his both hands up begging. I sometimes wonder if they reused the art of it, because all the ninjas in Malibu wear the same, like, the way they draw the MK2 mask is always the same.
There is a lot of art reuse throughout Malibu. There's a couple of instances where they straight up copy-paste Shang Tsung throwing his fireballs, which are like smiling faces. In one issue, he's throwing them and they look like that and he's old. And like probably a year's worth of time later on, when he's reverted back to being his younger self, he throws them and it's the same art. Exact same.
Nice.
So he's like, this is merely an annoyance. Outworld shall be protected for as long as I live. For as long as Arg!
He is shot in the back by we can't see what. And the blast burns off all his clothes. He's lying on the ground nearly naked. And apparently it was a one-shot kill. He's already dying.
That's what happens when you put all power into front deflector shields.
Kitana runs over to him and says, "No, father, get up. You must not let them do this to you." And he, like, weakly is like, "Don't be afraid, Bruce."
Be strong. But she's like, "No, I'm so afraid, I can't." It's at this point that the baby starts fucking talking. And charging up
the fireball to the back came from the baby because he's surrounded in the same, like, yellow energy.
Oh ho, it seems that I have come of age, just in time for a changing of the guard. Forgive me, Lady Kitana, now that I can speak again, an introduction is in order. And he morphs back into himself. MK2 Shang Tsung.
Yep, the baby was Shang all along.
The Caucasian Steve Rogers baby was always Shang Tsung.
The clever baby, who's just like a little man, turns out to in fact be a man in disguise. Surprising!
You know, it's wacky shit, but I do love how Malibu makes use of Shang Tsung's shape-shifting power to do crazy shit sometimes. I enjoy it.
The panels of him shifting back are kind of gross because he's like in the in-between state between baby and grown man. He's got like bubbles and boils coming out of his skin.
It's kind of T-1000 melting in like the lava a little bit.
Yeah, it's weird.
So Katana's all pissed off and she's like, "You deceived me. I shall always blame myself for what happened here this day." Expositing is all fuck.
Mm-hmm.
One day you shall pay most dearly for what you have done. And Shao Khan finally emerges from this fucking crevice in a wall and says, "Perhaps, child, but that day shall not come until Shao Khan decrees it."
Now, I have a question. If Shao Khan was always capable of sneaking in the room from this back door, as seems to have been implied, why did he need Shang to pretend to be a baby at all?
This plot, you know, there's like double layers of insurance on it. Maybe he thought Shang would fuck up. The Lin Kuei were obviously a distraction. But maybe he just showed up to make sure everything went well. I don't know.
I suppose. Anyway, we can put Shang Tsung on the list of people who've killed Jared. I just want to put that down.
You know what? Once we get to MK Legacy, we're going to have some fun with that. There's a whole lot of Jared killing happens in that series.
That's true.
So we go back to the present day, and Katana now remembers everything. She closes the book. Thousands of years ago, but I remember it as though it were yesterday. I have never been Shao Kahn's daughter. So Reptile apparently knew this, because he's up and he's like, "That's been the only thing protecting you." And as soon as she grabs his arm and says, "Is that what you believe?" he starts groveling again.
Yeah, "No, please, do not!" And then she fucking slashes him across the chest.
There's actually blood here. There's not a lot of blood throughout Malibu, but
yeah, there was a blood splatter at the beginning of the issue when she fucking decked him.
So she's like, "You are mistaken, you pitiful creature. It's the only thing that's protected you. All of
Yeah,
you."
this moment is basically, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me.
But Shao Kahn has stepped through another hole in the wall. This time the one that they made earlier. He's standing here unmasked, and he goes, "That's quite enough. You've made your point. More damage to my house and its servants is not necessary.
Malibu Shao Khan talks like he's civil, you know?
Yeah, imagine that.
Like he's got some fucking intelligence. He's not just a barbarian warlord. He's actually, like, a typical king.
You mean the way he was portrayed in most media for nearly 20 years until recently when we decided he should be some dipshit?
Gosh, is that what I mean? That might be what I mean.
So Reptile's all, Master, she's insane! So looking scared and hurt, and Katana's got the fire in her eyes. You put a spell on me, you made me forget who I was and who I am. And Khan acknowledged it. He's like, yes, I did. I helped to make you what you are today. The rest of the story has not been put down in writing, but I shall tell you the tale if you wish. It was within my power to make you believe whatever I wanted. To break your mind was a simple thing, really. Your spirit, however, was quite a different matter. It was easy to make you forget who you were, or so I thought. In the process, you became tougher than I would have thought possible. The art of war came naturally to you, child, and you grew to become one of this land's most proficient fighters. I have often asked myself if this was Gerard's influence on you, or my own. I love that narration. I truly do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. This, personally, feel like you could have told the story exactly the same, but have Kitana be much, much younger and not involve mind-wiping magic.
Obviously, you know.
The other details about it are the best version of Kitana's backstory there's ever been.
It's a pity that they went for the mind-wiping take on things. I guess that's what they thought was the case at the time.
I suppose.
But, like, that aside, most of this really does work for me.
Now, the other weird thing about this issue comes on the next page, where we see the creation of Mileena.
I just want to mention that during Khan's narration, what we get here is like a series of images of her growing up, adopting the ninja garb, putting on the mask. It's really, really nicely colored. She's tossing fans around. She's like learning her martial arts. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Further on, where Khan says, when it became obvious that you would never truly be mine, I attempted something different. So we get Shao Khan here. He's on his throne. And
instead of Shang Tsung, we get these two rando NPC characters. One of them is like this blue-skinned mutant guy.
Who is wearing a lab coat. There is no other way to define this. It's a lab coat.
The other guy looks kind of like a generic red-skinned Satan, but without the goatee.
He's got a bit of the Reiko hair.
Yeah, kinda.
And Labcoat goes, we have done it, my lord. We've done what you've asked of us. There she is. All that Katana is, and more. Oh, you will be impressed, I am sure of that, sire. She is a perfect clone of Katana. We call her Mileena. So, there you go.
Now, the thing that's weird to me is that they came up with these two weird cloner guys when Shang Tsung doing it was right there in the MK2 bios and endings.
I tend to think that they might have been working from information that John Tobias gave them or forwarded them. I'm not sure. And that's actually kind of important because of this very next page and stuff we've been talking about lately in the Discord.
Yeah.
So, we get another montage of Mileena here as she kicks the shit out of a random NPC ninja that looks like Smoke. Or maybe it is Smoke.
You know what? It's somewhere between blue and gray. It could be Smoke, though.
In Malibu, Smoke works for Shao Khan.
Yeah.
Weird. We'll cover that.
Yeah, it could actually be Smoke.
It could be. So, we get this montage of, like, her looking badass, doing a finger blow to Smoke in the throat, hitting him in the back with a knee. He's coughing up blood. She kicks him in the face. And the narration here. You did not know that she was cloned from you, my dear. Do not worry. There is no way you could have known. She does not even know. She is a clone, but she is an imperfect one. She is flawed. I wanted her to be you, but she most definitely is not. I can trust her, that is true, but I cannot love her. Now, we've been talking lately about exactly how Shao Khan felt about Kitana.
Yeah, about, like, the actual details of the Katana and Mileena backstory, because when 9 came out, a lot of us felt like, wait, that's not how it's supposed to go. You know, he's supposed to like Kitana better. You know, 'cause Mileena was supposed to be a failed clone. Otherwise, she would have actually replaced Kitana in the old timeline. Because remember, in the old timeline, she was made many, many, many years ago, not during the tournament. So, like, just from a logic point A to point B standpoint, if Mileena wasn't considered a failure, Kitana would have been killed and thrown out. Mileena would have succeeded in replacing her. So that implies how Khan looks at Mileena and how he thinks of her as, like, I didn't want the teeth. I wanted a perfect clone but loyal, and this is not that. But I'm going to keep it around because it can still be useful.
You had told me that there's archival interviews or discussions with John from older EGM or video game magazines
like
of the 90s.
back in the 90s, well, what I remember specifically is the Mk3 Collector's Guide, which is it's not a strategy guide, it's like an art book with interviews about every character in vanilla Mk3.
Okay.
And on the Sindel page, Tobias talks about how Khan had feelings for Sindel, and she wasn't just a trophy, that he actually wanted her to love him, and was, like, surprised and distressed when she killed herself. And that he sought a way to bring her back to life, even separately from using it as a plan to take Earthrealm without the tournament. That he's always been working towards resurrecting her, and when MK1 and 2, when Outworld failed to win those, he went, you know what? Let's combine the plan to bring my wife back with this, because we were already going to do that, but now we can also use it as a way to sneak into Earthrealm.
I'm going to make it my mission to get a hold of this thing and keep putting up scans from it. Specifically this part.
It's the one that has, like, these goofy joke bios for every character that list, like, what their favorite song and favorite food and favorite book is and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna need this. I really am.
Yeah, I have it somewhere around here, but I'd have to, like, dig through my closet to find it and scan it.
So, we bring this up because the point is, this is pretty much one of the examples of Shao Kahn's original intentions towards Sindel and Kitana.
Yeah,
that's kind of been
comic is the only thing I can think of that actually puts in words, I can trust her, that is true, but I cannot love her, which shows that Khan does feel something for Kitana as a daughter. And he wants her to feel something for him as a father, but he knows that if she ever finds out the truth, it's all gonna go tits up.
The way we was.
Which is totally the opposite of how it goes in MK9, where he tells her himself, I'm not your dad, and I never wanted you around. The scene in MK9 just makes me wonder, okay, well, if you only kept her around to make Sindel happy, then why didn't you get rid of her when Sindel died? It doesn't make sense, you know? If you never wanted a daughter, then why do you have all these daughters?
Orphans, man. In NRS's Outworld, Lieutenant Penny. I just wanted to bring this up because I've always found it like a real shame that MK9 was the first time in a game where we got any kind of mention, really, about how Shao Kahn felt towards the daughter he stole, and they kind of made it go tits up.
Yeah, it's not what the fans wanted at all.
No.
And it's hard to say whether what the fans wanted was based on their interpretations of the games, or whether it was influenced by this non-canon comic book. And I think the truth, as with most things, lies somewhere in between. But I also think that when you're creating media, you have a responsibility to make the fans happy. And I don't believe that anything related to Katana in the NRS timeline has done that.
Oh, I think we've covered that at length last episode.
Yeah.
But back to it.
Yeah.
Katana implies that maybe Mileena knows more about her true nature than Shao Khan believes. But one thing is clear, she is your true child just as surely as I am not. And Khan says it again, you're the one I want for my daughter, and I can't let you go. Then you must slay me. So it would seem. So instead he hits her with a laser blast from the eyes.
There's something interesting going on in this I-beam panel where the colors over both him and her look like when Frank Miller was playing with paint and Photoshop filters in The Dark Knight Strikes Again.
Ugh, flashbacks. Why did you do that?
Because it's weird, and I don't know if it works all that well, but what I feel like the art is going for is that this I-beam is equivalent to Darkseid's Omega beams, where it's not just a laser that kills people. It actually, does whatever Shao Kahn wants it to do, basically. Because in this case, the I-beam just knocks her out and wipes her memory again.
Yeah. He's like, worry not, death and destruction are worthy tools, but I've got so many more at my disposal. So he carries her out of the hole, unconscious. He specifies he's burned her memories away again, speaking to her unconscious form. Once again you will believe you are what I wish you to be. Now, Reptile, have this hallway sealed off and let none enter this way again. But first destroy that book there on the table. I will not be betrayed that way again. So she regains consciousness as Reptile sets about his work. And she says, what happened, father? And what follows is, I think, one of my favorite moments in all of Mortal Kombat, games included. He says, you had a fitful dream, my child. A dream was all it was. Now close your eyes and rest. You are safe with me once more. And there's a shot here of his hand around her back, and his skin in this particular panel is all orange, and there's emphasis on his claws around her back. And he continues, safe from all who would do you harm. Safe from those who would fill your head with lies. Safe from the past. He takes her down a dark hallway. His shadow recedes into the back. But another shadow is visible from a pathway midway up the hall facing the hole that was knocked open. It's Mileena's shadow. And you get a single full-page panel of her standing there,
hugging herself and crying as she overhears everything Shao Kahn has been saying.
Shao Kahn's last words, safe from the truth. And that's how the comic ends.
Yeah.
It is such a good book. I love this comic to pieces. You have
honestly,
no idea.
For all the crap I give the Malibu series for its weird story choices and the Rob Liefeldian artwork, this one issue stands out from the entire rest of the series as, if you're ever going to read a single issue of Malibu Mortal Kombat, this is the one to read.
Yes. If you want to feel like Mileena is not a complete sociopath, this was the start of it. This was the start in 1995 of being able to empathize with her. Fuck knows I did. So now that that's out of the way, and we've discussed one of the very best pieces of MK media that ever was and is, let's move on to the rest of Malibu. I'll give you the Crib Notes version of the rest of it.
That's probably all that the rest of it is worth.
So, Katana first appears in the Goro Prince of Pain miniseries, along with Mileena, Reptile, and Baraka. And they're there because they've been sent by Shao Khan to find Goro, who's been taken away by Zagat, the unfortunately named God of Chaos, who wants to sow chaos using Goro and a giant fucking Muppet made out of pieces of the MK1 cast called the fucking Combatant.
I fucking love the Combatant. He's so dumb.
Combatant is top tier shit, man.
He's so dumb.
We're gonna have us a Combatant retrospective episode with hookers and blow. So, the first thing that fucking happens is that Reptile and Baraka start tearing into each other, and she has to stop them from killing each other. This is a running theme throughout her appearance. Like, she has to stop a couple of fights, and they usually involve Baraka.
She is the sane one. She's the
Yes.
peacemaker, because that's what girls do? I don't know.
It's established pretty early on that, like, at this point, Mileena has suspicions about her, so maybe, I don't know. This is possibly before the Katana Mileena single issue is supposed to take place. Can't say for sure. But anyhow, Reptile gets owned during this whole fight with the Combatant and Jax and whatnot, and
I feel like Malibu started the whole Reptile thing, like that he's always a
sucks.
sad jobber, that he's always pathetic and getting beaten up, and that he's just
yeah.
his whole life is suffering.
I think that they were going off of the fact that in MK2 he was literally dog shit and unusable. The Combatant just kind of backfists him, and she makes a point of saying, "You've dispatched the weakest of us all, but I have a surprise for you." She says this with her fan over her face, like she's maybe got a kiss of death in store, but it doesn't matter because he just kicks her into unconsciousness. Bang, she's done. So then Baraka goes after the Combatant, chops its arm off. Jax shows up, attacks Baraka. Mileena tries to kill... Well, she wants to kill Jax for attacking Baraka. But Katana stops her, and she's like, "We're not here to indulge in senseless violence, we have a mission." And then Reptile and Mileena give her shit.
Yeah, like, what? While everybody's fighting each other, what's the Combatant doing? Is he just watching?
He's off panel for, like, a little bit of time.
Here's the thing about the Combatant is that he's supposed to be, because he's made of a limb from each of the MK1 characters, that he's like has all their powers combined, right?
Yes.
So he's supposed to be like an ultra super badass, like the Amazo robot in Justice League, or fucking Doomsday, right?
Supposed to be, yes.
Now imagine if while they were fighting Doomsday in the beginning of Death of Superman, when the Justice League are there, imagine if they all started fighting each other and were ignoring Doomsday. How badly that would go.
Let's see. Kicks Katana in the head, freezes Reptile, punches Reptile, Katana disses Reptile.
I'm sensing a theme.
He owns both Katana and Mileena. Baraka cuts off his arm. Looks like, I don't know, a Liu Kang one, judging by the arm guard.
Well, that's the thing, is Liu Kang and Johnny Cage basically have the same arms.
Shadow kicks Baraka. And then Goro shows up with a giant fuck-off gun.
In fact, Liu Kang didn't have wristbands in MK1, but Johnny and Sonya both did, and they're the same wristbands Liu has in MK2. Everybody just loves those plain black wristbands with the silver metal studs.
He gets blown apart by the cannon in the first 2 pages of the comic. Then Baraka gets brainwashed. And then, yeah, Mileena suggests killing Jax. Katana says, "We came to get Goro and not get mixed up in a bunch of senseless violence." And Mileena and Reptile turn on her. And Mileena basically says at this point, "Our father distrusts you, Katana, and now I know why." And no one has a chance to do anything else because Shang Tsung, having detected that Jax has found Goro, warps them all back to his palace. So that's for part of the Prince of Pain miniseries. Now, at this point, it goes into the first tournament edition comic. Katana actually gets to do some cool stuff here.
I was gonna say, she talked a big game against the Combatant.
But no, she was not able to follow through. Here, though, Here she does. So Shang warps everyone back to the palace, and the issue starts with a full-fledged brawl in progress. And it's specified that this is because someone shoved Kano. That's literally all it took. Let's see, Jax beats up Sub-Zero for a bit. Mileena goes after Sonya. There we go. At some point after Jax knocks out Sub-Zero, Scorpion shows up, and he goes like, "I hope to finish you off in battle, Sub-Zero, but I'm tired of waiting for revenge." And he picks up Sub-Zero's unconscious body. He gets sliced across the back by a fan. And it's Katana who's responsible, and she goes, "So you are not only a coward, but a dead coward as well. It's obvious that you died a dishonorable death, Spirit. If you seek to further disgrace yourself in your present incarnation, you will have to go through Kitana to do it." So that's it. She attacks Scorpion simply because he was about to kill an unconscious Sub-Zero, and she finds him repugnant. It's at this point things start getting fucking weird. So they have a little bit of banter, she jump kicks him. He's like, "Oh, you've got questions about death. Maybe I can give you suitable answers by sending you on a journey to the Afterworld. Join me in death, Katana. Perhaps once you are a part of the spirit world, Scorpion shall take you as his wife."
Yeah, that's Hanzo. That's what he's all about.
It only goes to show.
Looking to replace the dead family now.
They didn't always get every character right back in the day. Like, Scorpion throughout the entire Malibu series is just a full-fledged villain, and even then it was kind of suspicious.
They killed my kid, Katana. Let's get busy making another one.
Would you like another Reptile disc? Because here it is. I'd rather marry Reptile than you, ghoul.
Ooh.
You can't begin to understand how bad an insult that is.
Spicy.
Poor bastard. But Katana belongs to no man. Not Reptile, not Scorpion, not even Shao Khan. And she flings a fan through his fucking torso. This is a pretty notable moment, too. It's one of those 90s comic moments where the blood is all shadowed and black. But this thing went through him. The fan is slightly red-tinged, enough to think it might be the coloration of the room, but you know.
Now I have a thought. Wasn't there a point earlier in Malibu where Scorpion says, "I've been given one chance to avenge myself, and if I die again, I'm dead for good"?
Probably.
They abandoned that somewhere along the run, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Because at this point, she kind of flings her fans around and there's a lot of fire everywhere. Dead. Katana gets the first actual kill on a named character in the series before, Scorpion comes back later on.
Well, if you're gonna kill anybody, you might as well kill the guy who can come right back.
Before he disintegrates, I just want to point out that he does the, "No! Do not do this!" Ninja groveling.
Yet
moments.
another panel of a ninja begging.
Over and over again. It's wonderful.
I was going to posit that maybe the reason there's so much ninja begging in Malibu is because they've given too much screen time to Reptile? But no, they do all do it, don't they?
Every single last fucking one of them. I'm pretty sure Smoke does it too.
Oh, Smoke definitely does it. I remember Smoke being pretty pathetic.
Wonderful. She gets another full-page panel of badassery. Art isn't what it could be, but it's nice. She just, kind of tells him to piss off back to the hell that spawned him. You'll never be welcome in any realm that I rule. And I think that is literally it for her in this particular issue. Yeah, that's it. She doesn't show up for the rest of the fucking thing.
So it's called Tournament Edition.
Yes.
And she just won a fight. But I'm betting there's no actual tournament, and that certainly wouldn't have advanced her in the ranks if there were.
No. Because going forward into Malibu, MK1 apparently happens off-screen. Seriously. And this particular issue ends with them all getting on a fucking boat and leaving Shang Tsung's island after they fucking solve the riddle of the Tao Te Zan book. Goro's still around, but, the narrative, starting with the Battle Wave series, which is next, makes it seem like Liu Kang specifically humiliated Goro. which isn't a thing that happens.
Yeah, that sounds like it probably happened off camera.
The next time she shows up, it's in the Battle Wave miniseries. And she's out in the middle of fucking nowhere. In the plains of Outworld. And she's having a meeting with Kung Lao and Baraka. The reason that Baraka is there is because, not called Tarkatans at this time, his mutants are deserting Shao Khan. Assumedly because he lost the tournament or something. I don't know.
They're deserting Shao Khan because the writer wants Baraka on the good guy team.
Yeah, pretty much. So they're out in the middle of the plains of fucking Outworld with a table and stools.
They're having a tea party.
All it takes is Kung Lao saying, how can we even be sure that Baraka is on our side? For Baraka to start taking swings at him.
Fuck you, I'm on your side. Let me show you by killing you.
This is the second fight that Katana has to break up, or try to break up, because she tries to grab Baraka by the arm, and he kind of backfists her away. Sub-Zero shows up and freezes him, joining up for the meeting. So in further issues of Battle Wave, they kind of start conspiring to take down Shao Khan, more or less in their own covert operation.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember anything specific from all these issues, but I do remember the general idea of the Kung Lao, Baraka, Sub-Zero, Kitana team.
They're trekking across Outworld, and Sub-Zero gets the feeling that they're being watched. And they're right, because it's Reptile, who Sub-Zero freezes despite the fact that he's invisible. Baraka takes swings at him, gets hit in the face by acid, which doesn't kill him for some reason. Katana and Kung Lao dispatch Reptile with a double jump kick, and they said about making Reptile talk. Yes, there's more groveling. Reptile reveals the fact, saying, please be nice to Reptile, he tells you Shao Kahn schemes. Shao Kahn was very upset when Mortal Kombat was concluded. The outcome was displeasing. They lost Goro somehow, Shang Tsung got tortured for it. And when the mutants deserted the Emperor's army, he replaced them with warriors from beyond the grave. So, Scorpion has control of an undead army. So now that Reptile has squealed, obviously the first thing Baraka wants to do is kill Reptile because he's outlived his usefulness. But Sub-Zero wants to spare him because he wants to know more about what's going on with Scorpion. And they start fighting. And Kung Lao, looking very much like he's had enough of this shit, and Kitana have to break it up. This is 3 separate instances of Baraka starting shit that Katana has had to stop.
Maybe it's a bad idea to have Baraka on the good guy team.
Or maybe the writers have one consistent idea in mind over and over and over again. So they break it up for the time being. Reptile gets away during the confusion. Reptile reports back, and Shao Kahn threatens him, and he squeals that they captured him, and he told them all of Shao Kahn's plans, and Shao Kahn goes, excellent, and starts cackling maniacally as one does. Kitara knocks out Sonya, that's kind of important for later on. We cut back to our intrepid group of 4 very, very poorly matched people as they continue trekking across the Outworld plains. Baraka does not think that Scorpion is a threat because he's dead. Kitana's like, no, he uses him to command a legion of dead warriors. Shao Kahn is marching against the denizens of Outworld, and we have to find a way to stop him. Baraka doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, says Sub-Zero. Kitana says that this is Outworld's most serious threat. Khan has always feared rebellion above all else. She quite rightfully finds the notion of every warrior who has ever died in battle under Shao Kahn and Scorpion's command quite terrifying. So after a bit of conferring, they decide that Sub-Zero is best suited for the task of killing Scorpion. That's what they're going to do. They're going to chop off the dragon's head. Sonya wakes up at Shao Kahn's fortress not knowing where the fuck she is, what's going on. Mileena attacks her. Okay, they're not in this issue, but it's important to note that Shao Kahn stands before Sonya with an offer to become his bride. It's not really an offer at all, because he just brainwashes her into it the next issue in. Because this is a thing that Reptile can do.
He's got, like, the Snake from the Jungle Book's hypnosis eyes now.
Yeah, he's fucking caught. Shao Kahn has Sonya in a bridal outfit, which is incredibly unflattering and terrible. Where did they get this? All this is happening because if Shao Kahn marries Sonya, this will give him claim to Earthrealm.
Right,
They're kind of bastardizing the Sindel plot here a little bit.
It's sort of like the Sindel plot of 3, but it almost makes more sense?
Little bit. If you're married to someone, then you're a legal citizen of the realm, I guess?
Sure, why not?
Anyway. So, this ludicrous display is attended by Shang Tsung, Mileena, Reptile, Smoke, Jade, King Gorbak for some fucking reason.
He's getting his green card from the Elder Gods.
Kano is giving Sonya away.
That's how you do it. Now we're in character. I had issues with how they were using Scorpion before. They seem to have gotten back on track.
Kintaro's in the background. There's some nameless shadow priest performing the rites.
As you do, yeah.
Finally, after everyone else apparently has shown up, we get an incredibly, terribly drawn Kung Lao, Baraka, Kitana, and Sub-Zero showing up.
You know what? I feel like we should skim harder.
Maybe we really should. She's fighting Jade in the background. That's it. That's the only time that they ever interact with the entire series.
Excellent. I mean, to be fair, this was long before Ultimate MK3 gave Jade a bio, right?
Yeah. So, Sonya snaps out of it, decides she's not going to marry Khan. Khan's like, fuck it, this would, ruin the Outworld bloodline anyway, or some shit. He's entertained by everyone being present. He takes it as a challenge, and this is when he decides to have his contest of 2 separate factions going after the medallion.
Martial arts tournaments take too long. Races are faster.
Yeah.
Let's get this over with.
This brings us to the very last issue of Malibu. 2 separate factions have to go get a medallion. As soon as the good guys are situated in some part of Outworld, Raiden goes, I'm going to lead you guys. But Katana's like, if anyone's leading anyone in Outworld, it's me. And Kung Lao goes, I respect you, but I have to side with Raiden here. And this is all that it takes for Baraka to decide, God, this is why I hate you humans. All you do is talk. I'm going to cut people now, and that's how Jax gets his arm sliced up. So Raiden tries to heal them. They get ambushed by Smoke, Kano, Goro, and Raiden self-destructs. You cut over to the Living Forest, where Katana has, for some reason, broken away from the group. She meets up with Shang, Reptile, Mileena, and Jade, and a couple of guards in the Living Forest. And Katana goes, I've actually decided to side with my home realm and the people who have my realm's best interests at heart. And Shang Tsung and Reptile are like, wonderful, this is great, we totally believe you. And Mileena goes, no, I'm not buying it. And this is actually kind of notable. It is, I think, the only thing that actually calls back to the Katana and Mileena issue. She seeks to mislead us and stall us, and Mileena will have nothing to do with it. And the internal monologue says Mileena feels mistrust in her heart for Katana, but there is fear there as well. Fear that whatever she does, she will never mean as much to the Emperor as her sister does. And they start fighting. Reptile tries to stop them, but Shang Tsung just goes, no, come back here, smacks him in the back of the head. Do what I tell you. I say we track down our prize. Now move, serpent. The next page, we're going back to where they're trying to save Jax's life, and Kitana is there. She takes up half the page.
So, 2 places at once, that's not a problem.
What I think actually happened was, judging by the looks of it, they maybe broke to the Living Forest a bit earlier than they should have.
So what, it's like non-linear storytelling? It was like a flashback?
No, I think that they just fucked up. At this point, Jax sees Kano and Kintaro trying to ambush them, and this would have been a good place to cut away to the Living Forest. To specify that, Kitana had fucked off at this point. Because she's nowhere during the fight. At all. I guess as she was seeing Jax, bleeding out, decides they were going to be okay. I'm going to go do what I can. But anyway, that's it. That is the last you see of Kitana in Malibu. Fighting Mileena in the Living Forest, apparently. That's that.
I am, unimpressed by the use of her outside of the one-shot. I mean, she did kind of get a fight with Mileena at the end there.
Yeah, pity nothing ever actually came of it. I suppose if they had continued, she maybe would have killed her, but Malibu died as MK3 had just become a thing. Damn shame that. Or is it?
Yeah, what can you do?
Who can say? Since we've already covered the big Kitana Mileena retrospective, and we've gone over most places where she appears, Mileena doesn't have too many unique moments throughout all Malibu, but she does get one. And it happens after Kung Lao, Katana, Baraka, and Sub-Zero first meet up. And it's 2 pages, and it's wonderful. Meanwhile, back at the Emperor's Fortress...
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom...
pretty much. And it opens with Mileena saying, "Get your slimy hands off me, you wretched creature."
Guess who she's talking about?
Guess who gets knocked through a fucking wall? Again. It's Reptile!
That's our Reptile. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Size off.
So she's like, "I have had it with your groping and pawing, Reptile."
So apparently Reptile has the hots for mammal women and is handsy.
Literally the most disgusting thing you can think of.
It's an interesting way to go.
So she's like, "Now you must face the true daughter of Shao Khan," and throws a sigh at him.
Creative, I wouldn't have done it. Wouldn't have thought of it.
So the sigh knocks this mask off, and the dialogue here is precious in terms of current understanding of language. The first word in this sentence is A-Y-Y-Y-Y. I don't know if you want to read that as A or as I.
Hey!
Hey, you have struck Shao Kahn's most faithful servant.
How you doing? Is he making finger guns? He needs to be making finger guns.
He should be, but you can't see it. And this is the dialogue, no joke. "Reptile has always tried to be nice to lovely Mileena, but now Reptile not be so nice." Are we threatening rape here? I feel like we might be threatening rape.
That's what we're doing. That's the choice we're making now.
So she goes, "You're nothing but a cold-blooded belly crawler, Reptile. It's time somebody put you out of your misery." And he tries to spit acid at her, and she dodges it and threatens to make him choke on it. But they're interrupted by Shao Khan, who says, "I understand that you have some differences between you." This is all he's willing to do. And he asks them to put their animosity aside to better serve Shao Khan. And that's all that really matters here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only real other moment that Mileena gets throughout the series.
Can't you two crazy kids just get along?
No. No, they can't. So that's done. I'm uncomfortable now. So does this bring us to the movie next?
Yeah. That brings us to 95.
Talisa Soto. What do you think?
Talisa remains visually how I picture Katana's face. And, I mean, part of that was because they literally used her face or tried to make a face that looks like hers in MK4 Gold and in Deadly Alliance. So, like, the entire 3D era is Katana's Talisa Soto, more or less. I think her performance in the movie is a bit stiff, but I also, I blame a lot of that on the writing. Like, Kitana, the way she's used in the 95 film is basically as a second Raiden.
Pretty well. She's a handy guide for Liu Kang. Gives him a bit of advice on the sly. I like her formal dress wear.
Her stunt double could have used another fight scene or two, because Kitana never really came off as an impressive fighter. She never really got a chance to have a good fight scene in either this movie or Annihilation.
At the very least, Annihilation gave her fans, which I know people were complaining about at the time.
It's true.
People wanted those fans very badly.
I think the fans that they designed for her in Annihilation look very silly, and I think it's unfortunate how much the ones in 11 remind me of those.
I mean, now that I have the MK2 fans, I'm good. But I don't mind a lot of the other ones if they would just give us an Annihilation costume.
I feel like the problem with the fans in the games is that across 9 to X to 11, they've been sort of slowly devolving into the Annihilation ones. Like, it's not sudden that the art style for her fans sucks in 11. I think it's been gradually getting worse across the NRS game. Because I still think her best fans are the Deadly Alliance ones, and that the second best are the plain silver MK2 and 3. And that those aren't just her best fan designs, those are her only good fan design.
Listen to you trying to talk like MK Annihilation isn't the pinnacle of Mortal Kombat. What is this bullshit? Devolving my ass!
Alright.
You need to re-encounter the ultimate, my friend.
Let's keep an open mind, because, Cole might get a sequel, Katana might be in it.
Oh, we live in strange times. Talisa Soto plays Katana with, enough mystery and allure to be intriguing.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job giving her that air of mysterious, can we trust her in the first half of the movie until she, does reveal, no, I am on your side. Use the element which brings life.
Yeah, she's the mole.
Yeah.
And she's the guiding force at the end that goes, you can't fucking step down from a challenge. Shao Khan would be so pissed off. This is not the way.
I feel like it needs to be part of Katana's character that, like, her beauty and elegance is stunning and above what, like, normal human women a little bit, because she's from Edenia. And I think Talisa Soto is that beautiful, and that they did a good job making her look elegant and royal. Particularly in the very first scene where Liu Kang and the gang sees her as they're walking through the warrior shrine, and she got that sparkly dress on.
And she's up on the dais and has a little bit of a veil. I think I mentioned this last time, but I'm pretty sure that that's the reason that we have the Katana's Day Off outfit in 11. And I enjoy that so much. It's so cool to see other parts of her than just the warrior princess. So, not the hugest part in the 95 movie, but I do feel like the bit that they gave us there, that glimpse, still has its own legacy, and we're seeing that today.
Yeah. When I was younger, it always kind of irked me that the movies combined MK1 and 2, that Kitana was at the first tournament. And I still do think that the best way to tell the story of Mortal Kombat is that you actually need to do MK2. You can't skip from 1 to 3, even though it would be 2 tournament movies in a row. Because there are so many characters you need to introduce across the trilogy that if you only do MK1 and then MK3, you're going to get Annihilation. You're going to get a movie where MK3 is, look at all these minions of Shao Khan that are in one scene and then disappear and don't have any dialogue and they don't even say their name. That's the problem with adapting the original trilogies. MK2 gives you a chance to spread out the introductions and make the characters actually like characters.
That said, though, if you're going to pit Earth's best against Outworld's best in a tournament, I do feel like Katana is the most logical choice to be there.
If you are going to skip MK2, the very first person I would add to MK1 is Katana.
I don't even think that you need to skip MK2. I just feel that MK1, it's a good rational point for Katana and Liu Kang to have their first meeting, the way that 9 does it, and the way that Scorpion's Revenge does it,
Yeah.
and the way that MK95 did it. It has precedent.
We'll get to Scorpion's Revenge, but I will say, I feel like if you were, spreading out the introductions and doing more gradual like the games did it originally, I think the scene that Liu and Kitana have in Scorpion's Revenge could just as easily happen at the second tournament in Shao Kahn's arena. And
Also
be the
true.
exact same scene, but work just as good, if not better, in that environment.
I think that you know and I know that the real problem is the utter lack of a concrete depiction of how the first tournament works, who's there, how you get, like, the 7 people that are supposedly left.
I maintain that even though, the concept of Earthrealm versus Outworld in a tournament makes you picture 50% Earthrealmers and 50% Outworlders, I still think MK1 makes the most sense if you go, they only sent Goro. Goro's all they need. All you humans have to kill yourselves, whittle your own ranks down until the last one fights Goro. Because that's how Shang Tsung has stacked the deck.
Yeah, he could cheat a little bit harder than endurance matches, couldn't he?
I just think, a whole bracket of Earthrealmers who have to fight each other, take yourselves out, and then the best one of you gets to fight Goro. I just think that's more logical for the billing of Goro as the undefeated for 500 years. Holy shit, he is the best that you want,
You know what? We should probably do, like, a specific Nethercast episode. How the fuck does the MK1 tournament work, and how should it?
Yeah.
We could probably talk for an hour about that shit.
We probably could.
So is that it for 95? Do you have any more thoughts?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I like the way that, like, they don't... Like, the romance between Liu Kang and Kung Lao is played as... It's obvious that there's a chemistry, but they don't do anything about it. Like, it would be so cliche if they just met and already they're kissing, And I think that it's a shame that the franchise of movies ended up going to annihilation as opposed to being successful and having a bunch of films, because I would have liked to see that relationship expand over time in a logical way.
Yeah. I do appreciate using Johnny to, like, kind of develop the, hey, maybe you're actually attracted to her. Yes, you fucking are. Kind of aspect of things. Forget about her. She's 10,000 years old.
What does her age have to do with anything? I'm trying to get out of this dungeon.
Dear NRS, please launch a Kitana's perfume line.
Yeah, what does that smell like? Does it smell like bullshit?
Vanilla mixed with lies. Do we actually want to get to Annihilation now, or do you want, like, to cover Journey Begins next? I mean, Journey Begins. Fucking the cartoon. The cartoon that scares me.
Yeah, the cartoon, Defenders of the Realm, was the next Katana thing.
I meant to say Defenders of the Realm.
Right.
So next is Defenders of the Realm. Why did I go there?
So Defenders of the Realm is in an interesting place, because it's basically an alternate to Annihilation. Annihilation hadn't been made yet, so Defenders presents itself as the sequel to the 95 movie.
It couldn't prepare us.
The status quo in the start of Defenders, like, right in the pilot episode, is weird, though, because it seems like it's during Mk3. Like, there was a tournament, and then Shao Khan started invading, and now we're stuck in this weird status quo where every episode takes place in abandoned wastelands, and you never really see, except for one instance, you never really see other human beings. Like, you never go to a city that's full of moving cars and people on the street. It's always night and everything's dead. But they never say that everything's dead. They just say, oh, all the heroes live in this cave with Nightwolf, and their job is to stop portals. And that's the whole thing. And obviously, like, there's this whole roster of characters like Stryker that they've picked up off screen after the movie. And Johnny's not there. And they never say what happened to Johnny, but there is a line dropped during the pilot about how Sonya, because she's lost 2 partners.
Wah, wah.
So, really all you get for an explanation.
Johnny Cage is not afraid to die. Prepare yourself. Sorry.
There are little teases right from the pilot of continuing the sort of unspoken sexual chemistry between Liu Kang and Katana. Like, the first episode opens with a fight scene between the heroes and the Lin Kuei led by Sector and Cyrax. Right in the middle of the fight, there's like a moment where Liu Kang and Katana take out some robots, and then they turn to face each other, and all of a sudden it gets like slow motion, and the music is a little romantic, and there's an explosion behind them that's like giving them romantic lighting, and they're just staring longingly into each other's eyes.
Fucking nuke goes off in the background. I think people are going to remember that bit from the stupidity takes on a lot of the
Yeah.
90s cartoons that are on YouTube.
And then, and so they just stare longingly for a moment, and then they go back to fighting. And there are little like dialogue teases of the same caliber as Kung Lao constantly going, "We're not here to rescue your girlfriend. She's not my girlfriend." It's a little better than that, but not by much.
I do have to give this to the NRS games. They've had the best depiction of Liu Kang and Kung Lao's relationship. Everything else has been dysfunctional up to date.
Well, there is one specific episode of Defenders of the Realm that actually like focuses on Liu Kang and Katana. And the plot of this episode is that Rain shows up. And Rain introduces himself as having been Katana's fiancé at some nebulous point in the past. And that they broke up, they didn't get married. He presents himself as coming to be their ally, and he wants to lead Katana to like a magic sword that will help them or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But Katana and Rain go off on this solo mission.
For some MacGuffin.
Yeah, and Liu Kang is real insecure about it. He doesn't trust Rain, but really he's afraid that Rain's going to steal his girlfriend from him.
Trust your instincts, Lou.
And it turns out is that Liu was right. Rain is a bad guy because of, that's accurate, actually. And Rain has kidnapped Katana, and he's working for Shao Khan, and Liu Kang has to go and rescue her and defeat him. And one of the weirdly memorable parts of the episode is that as Liu Kang is fighting his way through this ancient ruin or tomb or cavern or whatever it is that Rain is hiding out in, he comes across like a weird monster that's basically like from the neck down the body of a buff dude and the head of an insect. And when he like cuts off its head, it grows like 9 more heads. I believe the episode ends with Rain being defeated and just kind of escaping into a portal, running away like, "I'll get you next time, Spider-Man."
And then he was never, ever seen again.
Nope, that was the only Rain episode. The show only lasted for 1 season.
Rain. He never happened again.
Well, it's interesting, though, the thing introduced in this story, the idea of a romantic past between Rain and Katana that was never, like, resolved, that he was once her fiancé, ends up being a thing in Threshold in general, because it shows up again in the Conquest TV show. Very briefly, it is still, like, referenced like a little name drop, like, "That's Rain, we were a thing once." And that's it.
So that's 2 separate series in Outside Media that seem to want to pair them off as having been a thing.
Yeah. I presume it's because they both share a past of being, from Edenia.
the circumstances seem like they could be right, so I don't really blame Threshold for taking that route.
I actually think you could work a version of it into canon, and it wouldn't be a bad idea. Like, I wouldn't say that they were, like...
engaged?
A thing, or that they were going to get married, but I like the idea of Rain wanting Kitana.
And settling for Mileena.
You could go that way with it. I like the idea of setting scenes before and during MK2, before Kitana leaves Shao Kahn's forces. Keeps bumping into him, and he's like, so when are you and I gonna go out? And she's like, fuck off. I'm great, and you're royalty. And I'm so great that I should be with royalty,
Did I mention that I'm really great royalty? I am! I've always figured that he sees her both as an attractive conquest and a means to an end.
Right. You marry Katana and you're next in line for Shao Kahn's throne, right?
I would like to hope that some future telling of a story makes use of that, just a little bit. Not necessarily engaged, like you said, but they should have some sort of history. It'd be interesting, Assuming that they take the tack that he is as he is now, he used to be part of the Resistance turned traitor. They could even be unsteady friends that she really doesn't want to get any closer to, and eventually just start hating him more over time.
Imagine what you could do, characterization-wise, if you, have Rain, who is like, I betrayed the Adenians, because, I'm so great, and I'm loyal to Shao Kahn, and I want to climb the ranks of Khan's army, and you should be with me, Kitana, because I'm so great. And here's Kitana, who's, pretending that she doesn't know she's Edenian. And she's like, the most disgusting thing I can think of is this guy joining Khan, but I have to pretend otherwise, so I have to come up with a different reason to blow him off.
And also Reptile. Reptile is also the most disgusting thing she can think of. Just getting it out there. Yeah.
I feel like I would like top 10 most disgusting things. Does Rain beat Reptile?
Good times. And so it was, the day after Katana took back her throne, $1 million bounty went up on a purple asshole's head. But is that it for Defenders of the Realm?
I mean, I could go episode by episode. That's not important. We got the gist.
Fair enough.
Katana was definitely presented as being the same as in the first movie, where she is the character who says things that sound wise, but in a fortune cookie way. That was her role on the team.
I sense a running theme, she's the one with the head on her shoulders. She's got focus. Most media seems to actually get that right. Up to date.
Yeah.
I also kind of like her almost midnight black outfit and the really long dangly earrings, by the way.
I do like the way they depicted her. They gave her the UMK3 a diamond cleavage window, but it's smaller, and it's the costume is very simplified and streamlined for animation. It's not, the blue and the black in different stripes and designs. It's just a solid black with a bluish reflective lighting. I think they made her look pretty classy. I think they did a good job. I have said before on many a podcast that I prefer costumes that are simple to overly complicated ones. And I think naturally when you're designing for animation, you have to simplify, otherwise the animators will want to strangle you. So it becomes just a necessity of the workload. But I have always said my favorite costumes are the ones where if you're a child and you're not currently playing the game, you're at school the next day and you're doodling in a notepad, you can recreate the costume from memory. You don't even need photo reference, because that shows how strongly it'll stick in your mind. That's a demonstration of how iconic and memorable something is, and you can't possibly do that with an outfit from MKX or 11. There's just too much shit on them.
All right. I do want to also say that I enjoy the fact that they kept her unmasked throughout Defenders. It's a good
That's
look.
true.
It's actually, it provides a good contrast to like the dark midnight blue shade, I guess, over the rest of
Well,
her
I
outfit.
have to say, there is only one masked female character who appears in all of Defenders. Because Mileena doesn't show up and Jade doesn't show up. This Jade knockoff named Ruby is the only female masked ninja we ever see. And her mask, her outfit in general, is designed to be like a female version of Ermac's outfit. So it's like the hard plastic mask the male ninjas wear. So that was kind of weird.
What a strange choice.
Yeah.
Anywho, is it time to be annihilated? I think it is.
It might be time to destroy your expectations.
I'll say this much for Annihilation. I think it's the only fucking thing that's ever given her and Sindel any kind of closure whatsoever. I appreciate it for that. If I can rewatch Annihilation to this day for any other reason apart from comedic gold and the value it has as such, I appreciate it for trying its damnedest to tell the story of MK3 in some kind of fashion, and remembering how Katana is important to that.
To my great distress, Annihilation is more accurate to MK3 in parts than we've gotten anywhere else.
Or probably will for some considerable time.
Yeah, it's a problem.
If ever. She's got fans now, yay!
Yeah, suckers.
So yeah, slices up a bunch of ninjas, gets kidnapped by Scorpion, spends a bit of time in a cage being threatened by not Barakas.
The not Barakas really only show up when Liu Kang is in the room. There is one particular scene where, she's in the giant bird cage, where Shao Khan comes in and he's like, I still love you like a father. Are you sure you don't want to be on my side? And she spits in his face.
Yeah.
Annihilation Shao Khan treats Kitana better than MK9 Shao Kahn does.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
uh,
If you're feeling overly attached, remember, she gave us the American Gladiator props.
Yeah, Kitana is the one who explains, who gives the exposition on why they're riding around across the planet on giant metal spheres propelled by lava heat.
Now that we've covered that, oh goodness. Talisa Soto really tried, She did her best with what she had.
I just feel sorry for her and Robin Shu that they stuck around for this.
They were young, they needed the money.
You know what? I think Talisa stuck around for the quote-unquote catering.
I'm not going to speculate.
She comes from the world of modeling. That's all I'm saying.
That's your call, not mine.
That's all I'm saying.
It's Hollywood. It's a video game movie. There's going to be catering. This was happening, pretty sure, on Annihilation set as well as Street Fighters.
There's going to be a lot of sugar. The table has a great deal of white powders to choose from.
We don't want to keep on talking about Annihilation Katana, do we?
I'll say this for Annihilation Katana. She actually succeeded in getting her mother back.
Gave her a kiss, didn't work, but eventually things worked out.
Yeah, it was okay. Like you got to pull the swerve. Haha, you didn't break the spell. But then they broke the spell. I mean, by killing Shao Kahn, but yeah.
In Annihilation, she actually has a pretty good battle count. Gets to carve up some ninjas. Gets abducted, sure, but then takes on Sindel later on and wins the fight. Unaided.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
It's understated, but She gets her badass moments in Annihilation. She gets off better than some other characters do. Many other characters, in fact.
I mean, she doesn't get to pull off any sweet backflips like Raiden.
I'm actually kind of surprised that with the kind of jank they tried to pull in that movie, we never got her lifting anyone up with fans.
That's true. That's true. They pull off some special moves that you wouldn't think a movie would try to make work. It's a shame that the fan lift was not among them.
And Sindel was wrong. She did not die. At all. Okay, so that's Annihilation done. Happy endings all around. Everything was fine forever from that point forward. Now, you mentioned she was in a few episodes of Conquest.
Counting the 2-part finale as a single episode, she was in 3. The first thing you need to know about Kitana in Conquest is that Shao Kahn's motivation for keeping her around in the show's universe is that, so she knows, and she's like openly hostile towards Khan for killing her parents, and there's no attempt to pretend to be loyal, other than like if he threatens her, he is like, if you're working against me, I will get rid of you. And she's like, I would never think of doing so, Emperor. It's almost like Megatron in Starscream. His actual motivation given for keeping Kitana around is, Kitana, you look like your mother. Are you sure you don't want to be queen? It's a physical attraction. Which is a choice. I mean, the show was... What's the phrase the kids use these days? Horny on main? The entire show was basically trying to be Skinamax. Like, it was on, like, TNT late at night, like midnight or some shit. And it was just, let's have as many sexual situations without showing anything as we can get away with on cable.
I'm gonna give NRS this. They've never had Shao Kahn be horny for Katana, and for that I am eminently grateful.
There is that. But anyway, so Katana's first episode is about her and a friend of hers who's clearly yet another knockoff of Jade, but not Jade. Like, this was a thing in Threshold. They kept creating characters who were clearly Jade, but not. This chick's name was Kali. And Kitana and Kali are sneaking around behind Shao Kahn's back, trying to sneak something called the Essence of Edenia into Earthrealm.
Is that anything like Shao Kahn's sacred seed?
Well, the Essence of Edenia turns out to be a flower. It's like the last living thing, the last plant that has survived from the conquering of Edenia. And she wants to plant it in Earthrealm so it'll stay alive. To summarize the episode, Kali turns out to be evil. She turns on her, so maybe she's more Tanya than Jade, but that seemed to be also the thing with every version of Jade that they did in Threshold. They're all betrayers. So Kali ends up being defeated, and Kitana basically says, I don't ever want to see you again, get the fuck out of here. Great Kung Lao helped her plant the flower, and basically she manages to succeed at not getting caught by Shao Kahn, and that's the episode. And there's a flirtation between Great Kung Lao and Kitana. It's basically just, it's written as if Kung Lao is Liu Kang, more or less. And that's her first appearance. And Kali shows up again later as basically she was kicked out of Outworld and now she works for Quan Chi, is what she's doing the next time she shows up. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Kitana's second appearance is the Mileena episode. And the plot of the Mileena episode is that at the start of the episode, Shao Kahn has sent Rain as an assassin into Earthrealm to kill Great Kung Lao. And Rain gets beaten, like I think he gets one of his limbs broken or something and has to retreat. But on his way out, he strikes the ground with lightning near Kung Lao And the show acts as if Kung Lao was hit by the lightning and is horribly injured. It's pretty poorly done. So Rain runs off, and the subplot of the episode is characters trying to find and catch Rain for some reason. But the main plot is, so back in Earthrealm, or back in Outworld, I mean, Shao Khan is like, well, Kung Lao's injured, but he's not dead. I need someone to go finish him. They bring in this random villager woman with an ugly face. And Shao Khan has come up with this scheme to disguise her as Kitana with magic. Like shapeshift her into Kitana and send her because Kung Lao will trust her, and then she can assassinate Kung Lao. And this is Mileena.
Okay.
When Mileena gets to Earthrealm, she's poisoning Kung Lao with these like poison massage oils. She's like, if I'll use
Of course it's fucking massage oils.
Yeah. So, this salve, I will massage it into your wounds and you'll feel better. But he's actually gradually getting sicker. And she's doing it real slow because she really likes being in Earthrealm and eating the food and hanging out and, being not living in the horrible wasteland that is Outworld. So she's trying to drag out the mission for as long as possible. And gradually, Taja is onto her because she's acting weird. Like, she's not consistent with how Kitana acted in the previous episode. So Mileena starts having sex with Kung Lao because, while you're there, why not?
I feel like I would have had more of a memory of Mortal Kombat making me horny, and I just don't. Why is this?
So Mileena, pretending to be Katana, is boning and also poisoning Kung Lao. And eventually gets to the point where Shao Kahn is like, fucking kill him already! It's been a week! What are you doing? At this point, the real Kitana has showed up and is on to the plot. And confronts her double, and the two of them fight. Mileena is chased away, and Kung Lao is allowed to heal. And Shao Kahn is like, you failed me, so I'm going to punish you by taking away half of the spell. You will always look half like Kitana and half ugly to remind you of what you could have had. Get out of my sight. And that's Mileena's origin in Conquest. Is that she's not a clone, she's just some rando in half of a disguise spell.
What a weird roundabout way to tell her story at a time when her story was already very well established.
Yeah, and the episode ends on Raiden making fun of Kung Lao for sleeping with Mileena. Like, he's cracking jokes about, how did you like the fangs and the scales and the boils? How was that?
Oh my god. I have to go back. I have to watch it again.
It's a really funny scene. I love Conquest Raiden so much. He is the best Raiden.
I missed this. I missed him so much. I remember being so pissed off and sad and angry at the conclusion of the series and finding out it would never happen again, and the last thing we got was fucking disheveled, sad Raiden that I loved so much in a fucking cell.
Also of note is that the actress playing Kitana in this episode, and also Mileena disguises Kitana, is a different actress from the one in Kitana's first episode. They had to recast her for some reason.
Huh.
The second actress is also Kitana in the finale, but yeah. That's kind of a weird thing to do when the plot of your episode is that you need someone who looks like Kitana. It's to recast Kitana.
It happens.
There's also, like I said, there's a moment in this episode where Kitana bumps into Rain, and you get a one-line drop thrown out there in dialogue. Oh yeah, he used to be my fiancé, but now he works for Shao Khan.
So that's 2 for 2 then, Threshold and him being a fiancé.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It seemed like whatever series Bible they had, it said, this is Rain's backstory. He was romantic with Kitana in the past.
What do you think? John Tobias notes?
Maybe. Tobias has always said that he really didn't have much story for Ermac and Rain and Noob Saibot, and that he's happy that the games after he left fleshed those characters out. So, I don't know. That might have been something Threshold invented themselves.
I don't hate it.
So yeah, the finale, Katana really only shows up to get killed by the Shadow Priests, because the plot of the finale is that Shao Khan is insane with paranoia that his enemies are all around him and that he can trust no one, so he just decides to kill everybody who he doesn't like or doesn't trust. Every enemy he has and everyone who opposes him, he just sends out the Shadow Priests, who are suddenly revealed to have the most broken powers of any Mortal Kombat character.
I remember that now. As you're telling it to me, I'm remembering going, holy shit, they actually made the Shadow Priests amazing.
The scene with Katana in specific is she's fighting like 3 of them at once, and she stabs one of them in the chest with her fan. It just grabs the fan, pulls it out, and then kills her with it, like slashes her across the... I don't know if it's the throat or the chest. The Shadow Priest's body is in the way, like they're hiding the killing blow for probably TV ratings reasons.
Christ.
But yeah, like, you can stab them and they don't fucking care. Shang Tsung tries to steal one's soul and it reverses the spell on him.
Remember when Shadow Priests were fucking cool?
Yeah, it
Remember
like
when Shadow
does something
Priests were
to
a
turn
thing?
the soul steel energy that's flowing into Shang from green to red, like it's poisoning its own soul to stop him.
Jesus. Fuck. I miss loving Shadow Priests.
I think there's a scene somewhere in the episode where someone throws a fireball and they become like translucent and it passes through them or something like that. They were broke as fuck. All it does is raise the question of, why has Khan never used these guys to do this before? Like, why is he bothering with Goro when these guys are clearly much more powerful?
And Shang's supposed to be the leader of this troop.
Right?
Oh, goodness. So is that it for Katana and Conquest?
Yeah, that's it. Conquest famously ended on a cliffhanger of everybody's dead, Shao Kahn wins. Apparently Season 2 would have started with, he took Raiden captive and threw him in the dungeon. He's the only one who didn't die. Apparently Season 2 would have started with Raiden praying to the Elder Gods to rewind time and prevent all this from happening.
Oh man, that is ironic.
Indeed.
I remember that Raiden was going to do something. I did not know it was like about rewinding time.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious considering where we are now. So, next up is Legacy. I took the liberty of rewatching it tonight before we did this to catch myself up on it. Because I recalled it being one of the absolute best parts of the Legacy series. At the time, I think a lot of us were still under the impression that, Katana and Mileena maybe grew up together, and that probably helped propagate that a little bit. These days, it's more, I think, known to a lot of people that, or at least assume that Katana and Mileena did not grow up together, whether that's because of MK9's influence. And I guess in my case, a lot of us bothered to go look back into the past and realize, hey, Shang Tsung's only 1,000 years old, so Katana and Mileena cannot have grown up together, so to speak. But the Legacy two-parter episodes with Katana and Mileena take the tact that they did, for the most part, grow up together.
Yeah. The thing about Legacy, which Malibu also did, is that it had Shang Tsung be present 10,000 years ago. Like, he's much older in those than he is in the canon.
Yes.
So he was able to be present for the conquering of Edenia and create Mileena when Kitana was still a baby.
And I've always said, the simplest way to actually do that is to make Shang Tsung thousands of years old. To me, it does not matter. Please note that after this recording was made, John Tobias in fact went on Twitter and did say that he had conceived Katana and Mileena as, yes, having grown up together. And he also maintained that Shang did create Mileena. He estimates about 1200 AD because he believes, as a concept, time flowed differently on Outworld in the early stages of the series' development. Try not to think about it too much. What the fuck is combat time anyway?
I just feel like Shang Tsung, the most important or most interesting thing about Shang to me is that he's from Earthrealm, and I think the idea of a guy who originally trained and set out to compete in the MK tournament for Earth. Like, he wanted to be the hero, but for selfish reasons, and was not heroic and got himself, like, caught cheating. And that's when Khan got his eye on him and was like, hey, why don't you switch sides and fight for me? That's what makes Shang Tsung interesting to me.
I think you can still do all of that and have him just be far older.
I don't know, because then it's like, then Shang was fighting in an Earthrealm MK tournament before Edenia was conquered?
Maybe not 10,000 years old.
I mean, I think
there's some wiggle room.
Older than he is now. Like, if Kitana was more of a child or a tween or something when...
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Because if you do the math, Kitana looks like she's about in her 20s now at 10,000. Then 1,000 years ago, when she was 9,000, she'd still look like she's like closer to 16, 17 at the youngest. Like, it is too old, kind of.
I feel like as long as you get Kitana to a point, I don't know, coming up on adolescence, where you maybe take the Malibu tact and go, Khan starts looking at her as maybe not necessarily being what he would want in a daughter, or his legacy would tell it, which we're about to get to. I feel like that's ultimately okay. To make Shang a couple thousand years older, give him some unspecified training period in Outworld, learning the dark arts, extending his life. And then he starts going to tournaments. Takes Goro on as his pupil for a while. I just think that there's a lot of wiggle room that you could have there to tell the optimal story. But anyhow, to Legacy. So Legacy takes the approach that Edenia did indeed lose tournaments to Shao Khan. Shao Khan invaded. You get orc version of Baraka.
Yeah, that's my two biggest problems with this episode. One is Shao Kahn's actor / costume design. He looks like Julius Caesar. He doesn't look anything like Shao Kahn at all.
I wonder why they didn't make a mask for him.
Like, he's just a human guy and he has hair.
It's really unfortunate because, like, the way that Shao Kahn looks and the way that Baraka looks in this thing take too much attention away from what is ultimately a really good telling of their origin together, Kitana and Mileena. So yes, Baraka looks like a shitty orc. We've covered that in the Baraka retrospective, I believe.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bear repeating. The important point is, during the invasion, as Gerard is trying to smuggle out Sindel and the young baby Kitana, he kills Gerard. Or does he? Because Shao Kahn shows up and he goes, this is an imposter. Your real king has already fled. So Kitana and Sindel are captured. The narration specifies that Gerard is out there somewhere, living and hiding, and he can't come back.
Yeah.
Now it also tells us that Khan grew to love Sindel, but this was not reciprocated.
Tankarowan was clearly, like, in touch in this one aspect with, like, the fans' expectations or what, you know, the commonly believed lore.
Yeah.
So he actually does have Khan, like, feel something for Sindel and want Kitana to be his daughter. But then he's also, if she ever finds out the truth, she'll turn on me. And so, make a clone.
Pretty much. He's like, Katana's gonna come to hate me one day too, Shang. Make one just like her that won't. Now, over on Sindel's side of things, she is quite rightfully afraid that one day Shao Kahn will corrupt Kitana's soul. So what she does is that she ingests a serum, which seems to not only kill her, but it gives her the ability to kind of exhale her soul, relinquishing it and merging it with Kitana's. She exhales her soul, and you see it like, you see this mist covering the baby's face. She merges her soul with Kitana.
Yeah.
This is why she kills herself. Imagine that.
It's yet another attempt to escape from the idea of depicting Sindel's suicide as what it should be, which is, oh my god, I hate this life so much, I will do anything to get out. Like, this is yet another attempt to try to make it seem like where the reason she's killing herself is so that one day Kitana will be able to discover the truth.
And it's because of that she eventually does. But yes, this is another example of Sindel ends her own life, but she does it because she loves Kitana. I kind of really enjoy this telling. I do.
I mean, it's okay. It's certainly much better than either 9 or 11's explanation for the Sindel backstory.
Yeah. Just a little bit. You gotta wonder again why 11 took the path it did when this was right there.
So basically, Sindel has somehow put her soul into Kitana, and this will allow Kitana to one day recover Sindel's memories and learn the truth.
That's pretty much what happens.
It does raise the question of, like, if Sindel's soul is in Kitana, then okay, so I can imagine if Tankaroan had somehow gotten to Mk3, he'd probably have it like, okay, so Sindel's body is resurrected but doesn't have the soul in it, and that's why it's evil, so Kitana has to put Sindel's soul back in her body to turn her good again. That could be how they go.
There's ways to make this work. I think that this is... It's odd, yeah, sure, but I can buy it. You can still tell the Mk3 story around it. That's what matters.
Yeah, it doesn't break anything. It's, like I said, it is better than either 9 or 11's attempts to rejigger Sindel's reason for killing herself.
I have one request. Don't break anything. Why you gotta break things, bro? Why you gotta fucking do them like that? Anyway.
There is an interesting thing about this episode where it starts switching between live action and animation, sort of like Oren Ichii's backstory in Kill Bill 1.
I think the animators are the same.
It might be. The art style
dead
does
on.
Look familiar.
I remember that. The first thing everyone was saying when this thing came out was, "This is so fucking Kill Bill, it hurts, and it's amazing."
It was an interesting way to get around the budget issues of showing Mileena's mouth too many times.
Yep.
Because the other thing they do is that Mileena has a normal mouth when she wants to.
But when she gets pissed off...
When she's really emotional or when she wants to eat somebody, she can open her mouth super wide and all the teeth come in like a transformation.
It's more like the skin kind of cracks at the lips and it gives this kind of, what's the term?
She splits open like a Glasgow smile.
Yeah, that's it. The Glasgow smile. Again, not the worst way to do things. I like it more than, X lips.
Mm-hmm. It is better than the lips in X, yes.
So they train together as they get older, but they start growing apart. Mileena starts resenting Kitana specifically, and she begins to, as she ages, as she hits maturity, she has trouble controlling her Tarkatan blood. She's full of fear of what she is, a lot of anger. Looks at herself in a reflection of a pool one day. Hates what she sees. There's a witness. She goes berserk.
Basically, she has, the puberty that people who've had a difficult puberty and are like, why can't I control my emotions? Except it's worse for her because monster stuff.
Yes. Straight up pounces on a guy and starts, tearing him apart. At this point, we find out that Khan is sending them on missions to kill a series of Jared imposters. Everyone gets a Jared. You get a Jared. You get a Jared. Dead Jareds all around. So you can add Kitana and Mileena to the list of people that have murdered Jared, here, again. And Kitana has more and more questions every single time. He sends them out on one more mission wherein failure means dire consequences. It's the real Jared. Kitana kills his guard, he's at a campfire, and he turns around and he recognizes her. And she's like, how do you know me? And he's on the verge of telling her everything. He tells her that Shao Khan's not her real father. And Mileena just shanks him in the back with a sigh, kind of smirks and walks off. But as he's dying, he manages to croak out, my daughter. So now she's got the fucking questions.
So in this timeline, Mileena kills Jared.
Yep.
That's one for the list.
So Katana here is shocked her entire life might be a lie, so she goes to find out the truth. She revisits her home, sees her old crib, and through Sindel's soul, she remembers everything. She remembers Shang Tsung taking the blood from the baby to make Mileena. She remembers Sindel ingesting the soul serum, and, she's fucking devastated. So, last scene of the second parter is Khan having them both before him. He congratulates them on completing their mission. He says Edenia is now unencumbered and will remain so, Code for congratulations, you don't know it, but you've just secured my rule forever. Now he wants to discuss future matters like the merger of Earthrealm, and they both say, yes, father, except you can plainly see Katana is pissed off as fuck and has plans of her own. And that's how that ends. And, in addition to the animation being really spiffy and nice looking, all that Kill Bill style, the fight choreography here was also pretty goddamn good. We don't get a lot of opportunities, even in the games, to actually see Katana and Mileena themselves engaged in a fight.
It's true. It's true.
It rarely happens.
One thing I do have to compliment them on is, since there's very little dialogue or acting necessary with how short these episodes were, they just straight up cast stunt people to play Katana and Mileena.
And they do a good job of it. Nothing special, but believable. Good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed. I do not regret revisiting these tonight.
No, I would say
they're highlights
Katana
of
and Mileena episodes are somewhere between the best and the only good parts of Legacy.
Accurate. Very accurate. So that's about it for that. Legacy is still up on YouTube. If you don't have the Blu-ray or the DVD.
Well,
it's being hosted by, various people who ripped it, but
yeah.
The point is, it's up there, you can watch it.
Because it was originally aired on the Machinima channel, which is no longer a thing, and even before Machinima went away, they took it down to give people a reason to buy it on DVD.
Which I did.
Did you mention that there's a bit of dialogue between Katana and Mileena where they're, arguing, and it's basically about Mileena being violent and Katana being soft, or disagreeing with Shao Khan about something like that?
I think it's a very quick exchange. I don't even remember it, really.
It's in one of their bedrooms in the palace. The interesting line that's in that argument is Mileena says something like, "Sometimes I wonder if there's any of our mother in you at all. You don't act like a Tarkatan." So Shao Khan has told them their mom was Tarkatan to explain why Mileena has the teeth.
Actually, you know what? Did they appear in other episodes? 'Cause I don't remember seeing that here tonight.
Season 2, maybe.
I think so.
Because they show up a little bit in Season 2, and then they are definitely part of Shang Tsung's team on the island when the quote-unquote tournament starts.
Yeah, has to be a Season 2 thing.
Yeah, so basically, what they mainly do with Katana and Mileena in Season 2 is they're at the island, and the tournament is really just Hunger Games, Battle Royale. Run around on this island and fight whoever you find until there's only one side left. And Mileena runs into Johnny Cage. And Johnny's immediate reaction to seeing her teeth and her trying to kill him is to just run away. Johnny really doesn't try to fight at all this season. I think he's the only character on Raiden's team who doesn't demonstrate whatever their special moves or superpowers are. Barely fights at all. So as he's trying to run and survive being chased by Mileena, eventually, for seemingly no reason, Kitana just switches sides and fights Mileena and cuts her head off at the mouth with her fan.
Boy, it sure was nice to actually get something where they actually had a confrontation, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have Mileena in an adaptation, period.
Yeah.
Because other than this and the episode of Conquest that we covered, Melina's only appearance in anything televised, any live action or cartoon, she wasn't in Defenders. Her only other appearance is in Annihilation.
And that's why this is a joint episode, folks.
Right.
We decided that midway through recording.
So Melina's appearance in Annihilation is Sonya and Jax are wandering across the surface of the Earth, walking towards where they're supposed to rendezvous with the other good guys. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Sonya is jumped by a girl in black yoga pants and a pink corset with a headband and mask on. And this girl is played by Kitana's stunt double, not Talisa Soto. But Sonya still reacts by asking, Kitana? And the pink lady goes, you wish, and tries to stab her with size. Here's my question. Talisa Soto's not in this scene, so why couldn't Mileena have been played by Talisa Soto?
Catering?
If she's supposed to look like Katana, why not use Katana's actress?
You know, I'm gonna have to go back and revisit the Annihilation novelization. I feel like I vaguely remember there being more dialogue that she actually had in the book.
Oh man, imagine if Mileena had dialogue. Imagine
Seriously.
if any of the characters in Annihilation even said their names. Like, this entire fight scene happens without anybody saying the word Mileena.
Please insert token to understand story.
So Sonya dodges the size, and then her and Mileena start mud wrestling, because that's the real purpose of this scene, is to get mud all over Sandra Hess's tank top.
Unfortunately.
The scene ends with Sonya getting Mileena in a hold where she's grabbed her arms by the wrists and kicks her in the face to knock her out. Maybe break her neck, it's not clear. After Mileena is defeated, one of those magic tattoos peels off the back of her shoulder and disappears into thin air. Because, you know, magic tattoos are a fucking plot point in that movie.
That movie and others!
What is it with Hollywood?
Hollywood's actual fucking obsession with
TV shows, cartoons, and movies where the central plot device is people getting powers from tattoos or birthmarks or cattle brands or some shit since the mid-90s. Like they think children think tattoos are cool. So they can sell things about tattoos to children and children will buy them. It has literally never succeeded even once in the history of media. So why do they keep fucking doing it?
It's like that guy who tried to get Superman to fight a giant spider in an early draft of the 4th Superman movie. Oh no, the 5th Superman movie. But that didn't work out.
You know what? That
he later went on to make Wild Wild
way
West.
Because the Machine and Man of Steel, the I forget what it was called, the World Engine or some shit like that, kind of looks like a mechanical spider.
I do know that whoever the fuck it was
that
got
guy
his
finally
way
got his way.
Because of Wild Wild West.
Right,
where Will
right.
Smith
He
goes
did
up against
actually
the
get a
giant
robot spider into Wild Wild West. That happened.
So next up on the docket is Scorpion's Revenge. Katana gets, what? Is it just the one scene with Liu Kang in Scorpion's Revenge?
There's a scene where she's standing in the crowd in Shang's dinner room as he's teleporting everybody to their fights. That's her first appearance.
Okay. Alright.
But mainly her big scene is a fight with Liu Kang in literally a recreation in animation of the MK9 Shang's garden stage.
Except written and executed much better.
Yeah, it's basically like, because it's in the same location, the impression is that it's based on the scene from 9 where the two of them meet for the first time. But this isn't some inexplicable scenario where between fights in the tournament, Kitana comes to assassinate him and then decides not to. This is an actual tournament match. So, first of all, it makes sense for them to be fighting, and it makes sense why they stop fighting. The second thing is Kitana actually puts up a good fight and isn't, like, treated like a child and kicked on the butt. So the actual scenario is respectful to her, and the dialogue makes way more sense for the characters of Liu Kang and Kitana to be having. It is in every way the 9 scene, but better. Better in every way. In fact, I think it's probably the best telling of how Liu Kang and Kitana meet for the first time that there's ever been, not just in side media, but in the games too, like, period.
Yes, I concur with that. I do like how the 95 movie did it, but
For all the advantages of the 95 movie's presentation, the actual fight between Robin Shou and Talisa Soto is weak as hell.
it comes from before they did reshoots and people said that the action scenes weren't good enough, which is why you get stuff like that awesome Johnny Scorpion fight and the whole Lou versus Reptile fight.
Well, the whole scenario of the movie fight is that Katana and Liu keep putting each other into holds so that Katana can whisper things into Liu's ear.
Yeah.
And then Shang gets sick of watching them pussy fight and goes, if you're not going to take this seriously, then I'm going to count it as a forfeit, Katana. Fuck off. Which makes sense in the context of the movie, but isn't an entertaining fight to watch.
It was the birth of something.
Yeah.
That fight gave us the foundations for what MK9 gave us. And MK9 gives us what Scorpion's Revenge gives us.
Yeah, we are gradually getting closer and closer to the ideal version of what this scene should be.
It's fun to watch that evolve. It really is.
It does feel nice when things get better over time instead of worse.
Yeah.
It's a nice change of pace from all the other aspects of media in my life.
Thanks, Mortal Kombat.
Every once in a while, you remind me why I'm still a fan. So the fight in Scorpion's Revenge, what I love about it, to start with, is that Katana is doing moves and combos that she actually does in MKX. Like, she follows up a fan lift with that, the technical term for it is a scorpion kick, and I know that's confusing because there's a character named Scorpion. It's where a person bends over and lifts their legs so high that they can kick behind their own head. Trinity does it in the Matrix sequels.
Yes. It's always a very, very flashy move.
Yeah, and Kitana has it in MKX, so when she does it in the movie, and the thing is, like, the MKX AI does it all the time after a fan lift. Like, the fan lift is the perfect time to do that kick, so when she does that combo in the movie, it's like, hey, I remember that.
So you can see where they were doing their research, basically.
Yeah.
Lots of single-player mode.
So, as they're fighting, the conversation they're having is basically Katana is going, Outworld is going to win, Earthrealm has no chance, why don't you just give up and save yourself the trouble? And Liu Kang basically goes, because I have something that no one else Shao Khan has conquered ever had. And then he says, hope. And Kitana has this expression like,
mind blown.
And you get the impression that it's in this moment that she's starting to think, like, this could be an old timeline style Kitana who knows her past and is pretending to be loyal to Khan. And is just like, I want to overthrow him, but I can't because I'll lose. This might be the moment where she's realizing this guy could be the guy who can help me win.
It feels like the foundation for something great.
Yeah. And then she forfeits the match, and she basically gives, like, a good reason for it. I know you'll beat me if we keep fighting. There's no reason to keep the match going. You're going to win, so I'm out. And what I really like about that is that, like I talked about how in MK9, she goes to assassinate him, and then she decides not to because he beats her but spares her life. The problem with that moment is that she told Shang Tsung that she was going to go assassinate Liu. So when she decides not to assassinate him, why doesn't Shang go, what the fuck is going on? So now we're introducing that it's a tournament match, and Shang Tsung is watching. Like, we see him watching magically and seeing Kitana walk away. She has given a good reason to forfeit the match, so she hasn't given herself away as a traitor. And I think that's an important thing you need if you're going to have Liu Kang and Kitana fight in the tournament. And that's why I say, in the old timeline, you could transplant this entire scene to MK2, have it happen in Khan's arena in front of Shao Khan, and it would work just as well, if not better. Like, this could be how it goes down in the canon game.
And should.
Yeah, and should. And there's no moment where Liu looks at her and goes, "You're pretty." Suddenly, I'm love struck. You know, there's no inexplicable that, there's no flirting. It's not romantic yet. It's just a logical reason for these two to be allies in the future.
No nuclear explosions going off in the background.
You know, that's the important thing, is that if these two characters are going to have a relationship, it can't start of at first sight. It has to come from a place where they're fighting for the same thing and gradually realize they have feelings for each other over time. Otherwise, it's going to seem like shitty fucking writing.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah. It took us too long to get here, to a point where their first meeting is actually good.
But we are, and I hope we learn from it. I truly do.
This is one of my favorite scenes in Scorpion's Revenge. And you know, a lot of critics of Scorpion's Revenge complain about the ending with Goro and there being too much Scorpion in it. How can you defend this but be mad at the Cole movie? Because this has scenes like this in it. Yeah. Okay, I don't have to like the whole thing to like parts of it. I don't like the whole of the 95 movie. I don't like, you know, the slaves under my power part of Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I don't like Johnny Cage being the one to beat Goro, but I like that movie because it's close to the real story.
As ever, with MK adaptations, and sometimes with MK itself, it's, for me, always about taking the parts you enjoy away from it.
Yeah, it's about getting close. And
focusing on those.
It's never going to be a perfect adaptation. Nobody makes those. Even something like Zack Snyder's Watchmen, where he tried to recreate every scene in the book and make it look exactly like the book, he still fucked it up because he doesn't understand the tone of the book, and he glorified the violence instead of making it look ugly.
That's it.
That's all I have to say. Of all the Katana media, I would give the highest scores to that Malibu issue we covered at the beginning, and Scorpion's Revenge, which we covered at the end.
Had to wade through a little bit of ugliness, but not too bad, like we said at the beginning of this.
Yeah, honestly, she's gotten a good deal across movies and TV and adaptations. Katana's treated far better inside media, and given the role she's supposed to have as the female main character, than she is in the fucking games.
Mileena, a little bit less so, but we're getting there. Slowly.
11 did for a bit until Aftermath. Hopefully the next timeline isn't trying to do any edgy twists that subvert our expectations with Liu Kang and Katana because they've already been done. You know, twist and subvert Johnny and Sonya this time. They played them pretty straight.
I think it's time for Johnny Cage to die again, personally.
He's not afraid to.
Exactly. Now, of course, we come to the Mortal Kombat 2021 version of Mileena. I'm here going on well on a week after the film has been released. So, much after we initially recorded this. As with my review of the film, Razor still prefers not to discuss the film. I can't say that I blame him. However, for the sake of completion, I will offer my thoughts on Mileena as she was portrayed therein. I will say that I do think that Sissy Stringer does an admirable job with what she's given. It's not all that much, but out of all the characters that they presented to us, it's nice to see that she was chosen as someone who actually has Shang Tsung's ear. It's also really nice to actually see her using teleportation moves for once. That's an area where I never felt that the movie really let me down much. It portrayed specials pretty well, so she's no exception. As for the outfit, however, I have questions. Like, where's the veil? Or a mask? The moment where she actually does open her jaws tremendously wide, channeling the alien queen, was a good one. It's nice to actually see her in film being portrayed as horrific and frightening. But can't help but thinking it would have been better if she was wearing something that she just ripped off to amplify the moment. Again, it's a fault of the script, it's not a fault of the actor. A common theme with this film. As for the rest of the outfit, I think we can all agree it could be a lot more purple, although part of that is to do with how washed out and dingy the movie looks, very brown. And I'm not entirely sold on the turtleneck. But otherwise, fair job. Nice to give her a speaking part for real for once. She's ultimately not much more than Dana He was as Mileena in Annihilation, but it's not terrible for what the character is there for and has to do. Maybe, hopefully, one day, we'll actually get to see Mileena exhibit some of the personality that we love her for. The time has not yet come. Sorry that Razor can't be here to give you his opinion on that. I did ask, but in his absence, I suppose you'll have to enjoy this. Call it the Razorbot 4000, serial number RZR9T5. Take it away!
It's petty and childish, but I'd like to pretend there wasn't a movie recently for at least a little while longer. LOL.
Thank you, Razorbot. Thank you very much. Now to finish the episode. That's been our joint Katana Mileena episode. We hope you've enjoyed. As to what the next thing will be, question mark.
Question mark indeed. I think I'd like to do something else to break up the monotony before we jump to Jade. Before we continue the character retrospectives. But what that might be, we'll leave as a mystery.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, da, da, da.
And that's how you abuse the AI with low jump kicks. Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Later, nerds.